Hello friends, hello YouTube, how are you guys doing? Rainbow here with another NERF Mod Christmas video. I hope you guys had a perfect couple of holidays and Christmas was nice for you this year. And today is a cool day because today I can finally reveal my Secret Santa build for 2019. So for those of you who don't know, with the Blaster.de forum we have this little tradition where we do Secret Santa mods, and so you basically put your name down that you want to partake, and then you get drawn another user that partakes in the thing, and then you build a blaster for them, and you never know who's got what you're going to get and who you're going to build to your mod and whatnot, which is really cool. And the rules are that you can't share any work in progress and you can't share any pictures on the build itself before December 27th. So this is today, and today the video comes out. There you go. I can finally share with you what I've been working on. It's a really cool, fun little blaster, and here we go. It jingles almost as much as I do. And it looks almost the same! This, everybody, is my entry for the Secret Santa. It's called Santa's Little Helper LS-45, and it's a cut down and modded hammer shot, and it is fun. So this video is going to be different than others, and as you've already guessed by the length of it, this is a full build lock of this build. So I'm going to talk you in the next, I don't know how many minutes, talk you through everything, and you're going to see everything from the start of the hammer shot to the way it looks right now. So I'm not going to go into the build any more than needed. It's a cut down hammer shot with the uncompensated part, and it's a glowy red because, you know, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So yeah, Christmas theme. Has a brass barrel and a beard because has a leather wrap on the handle, some jingly bells, and, you know, upgraded spring things and all the things you're going to see in a second. I'm going to give you a quick overview of the blaster from here. I'm going to have to switch the light because it's really dark in here so you can see. So this is the beauty of the build, the beard and everything, the handle, and yeah, so much for that. I'm going to put the light back up here so you guys can see me alright. You're kind of dying on me, but you're still okay. So this will be the video for the next however many minutes. I hope you enjoyed. Tell me in the comments below if you do, if you don't. And off we go with the build lock of Santa's Little Helper LS-45. I gotta go that way. Alright everybody, welcome to the workshop. This is a hammer shot that I'm using for this build. I got it off eBay and it's been tampered with. Don't know what's going on. So here we go. Let's open this up and see where we're at. Alright, so looking at this, it is very, very greased up in all the wrong spots. So it's, holy crap, it's very greasy all the way up here. So let's get some tissues and get to clean this. Alright, so as I said, I got this off eBay, and yeah, there's been some tinkering to it. So the seal, I just discovered, has been changed. The dart posts have been removed, which is good, because we wanted to brass. I'm going to brass this anyways. And yeah, the seal is like downright almost perfect. Like, holy crap, look at this. It's not moving at all. That is fantastic. So I'm not going to do anything with this, but I'm going to put a spacer in here. And but let's go take this out for now, clean this, and then get it on the bench to cut. So here's what I like to do. It's like, you know, old plastic bags, like just drop the entire thing in it and then close it. Actually, maybe we won't be needing this part, spare part. Normally, like if I have multiple builds, I'll take these and put them in a little Ziploc bag and put this in here as well. But for now, as you can see, there's already a hammer shot over there. There's another one over here, and then there's Magnum parts over here because, yeah, it's already enough to do. So leave it at that. So Secret Santa, put here. We take this because we want to brass it. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So probably want the brass to be sticking out just a little bit. So I have to Dremel out a little bit because otherwise the brass won't fit. So just quickly over here, and you can see, oh, other hammer shot project. Yeah, it's exactly what we almost. 1, 2, 3. Can't get the brass in here like that, so I have to Dremel out this a little bit. So it's awesome that the darpers are already removed, so I can actually get the Dremel in here. I want to have just brass about that much, so I'm going to cut this in half, same with this and that. And then, so we're going to have brass about 1 centimeter in there, sticking out just about to there. So with standard Acufake or normal dart, that'll be fine. And yeah, then I think that should be good. One more thing about this. We want to use this printed file. It's the uncompensated file of Thingiverse. I'm going to link it in the description. And this works with the original cylinder. So you got to take this out and then pull this off. And this one here has been my test assembly. And I'm going to paint this before I assemble it. So learn from your mistakes. So let's take this out. Right on. Some force required. Pliers. Whoops. That went awesomely well. All the parts are here. So yeah, when you do this, be careful about this spring, because that's gonna come loose and hop around. You should have this part, which is the connecting of this part. And then you should have the spring, which goes in here. And then you should have this. And now to get... Do we need to get this off? Yeah, we need to get this off. Right. Nope, doesn't seem like a good idea to do it this way. How did I do that last time? Oh yeah, I don't care about this part. You know what? This is friction fit. Oops, this is friction fit, and with a thing like that, I'm just gonna go downstairs and use a Dremel to cut this off and then take it out. Sweet. Now we got this. Sweet. Here we are in the basement, and it's now time to cut this, and and then do all the little things. What we're going to use first is a trusted Dremel with a diamond wheel, and the idea is it's going to cut away all of this, cut away this, and then sort of trim this to this line. So yeah, I've done this on a different build and it looks actually quite nice. And yeah, so we're going to cut this. Make sure when you're cutting, protection in a sense of glasses, and I like to wear these just because I don't like to breathe all the plastic bits and bobs. Yeah, not necessary that much with this kind of dremeling, but with everything else. And glasses, and we're good to go.
what we're going to do now is we're going to swap to a different Dremel bit. Going to get rid of all of that. Going to even that out. Going to even that out. Even that out. So now this is a rough outline of where we want this to be. Did create a little hole here that I didn't intend to. But yeah, so that's it. Now we're going to go over that entire thing with a power sander to make it nice and smooth. And then while we're at it with the sander, we're going to sand away all the other stuff that we want to sand away. And we're going to sand away this, and this. And yeah, just in case if you're wondering why my workspace always comes back to a clean sort of state, I have a very big vacuum cleaner just down there, and through every step I'm gonna clean this. That's just how I normally do stuff, because otherwise it gets messy so quickly. And now for this step, definitely wear a mask. So this is looking fairly flush. Look, I'll try not this way, there we go. And now this is the idea. This is rather good. With this one you got to be careful, so some of you might be wondering why I'm not going all the way. That plastic in between here is higher up in the build than it normally would be. So there's a little dent in here. So if you go too far, that becomes too thin. And I don't want that. Alright, so what's going to happen next is this has to get a scrub down. As you can see, there's tons of dust still in here, and I can't really get rid of it, and that's because this piece was covered in grease, and so the dust just stays there, which also means that no glue and no adhesive and no epoxy is going to stick to the shell. So I'm gonna go and give this thing a scrub. Alright, as you just saw, I gave it a scrub, and then I decided to dry it off as good as I can, because there's little bits and bobs of water that will dry out, but yeah, all the grease is gone, and the surfaces I need to work with I can now work with. Next step on here, all this needs to be filled with epoxy, and because I don't want to spend too much epoxy, what I do is I'm going to drop some hot glue in here and here, which will also bind these two shell pieces together, which is why it is very helpful if you glue this here and here, like make sure to have these shells connected as they should be, so they don't stand apart at any millimeter or so. And then we're going to glue in some plastic bits here, so we don't have to fill all of this with epoxy, just some leftover scrap shells that we have. So I guess this is why you should keep a bin of scrap parts, not scrap parts, but like cut off scrap somewhere around before you throw it out. This piece is some poly plate things. I have taken this out the rubbish 3 times now and started cutting off other bits as well. And now I'm gonna take this and just gonna cut down a couple of 1, 2, 3, 4 plates to have in here. as a base. Yeah, lesson learned. Don't throw it out until it's completely unusable. Okay, so the idea is to take these, glue them in place here, and just as far down so they won't interfere with the original shell closing, but I don't have to epoxy everything in there. Just going to leave it like this, and then I'll be fine sculpting the rest. Save these two for some other project. Okay, now this is together. So when you put in the hot glue here, make sure to not glue the actual shells together, but like in here and here. And this is just so that I have a back for the epoxy that I'm going to put in here later, and I don't end up squishing epoxy all the way into the blaster, because then it'll run down here, and I'll have way too much epoxy, and that's expensive and also heavy, so hot glue isn't. So there you go, reasoning. Alright, so as I said earlier, we need to get rid of this and this. This one we don't actually need, so I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to cut this with a Dremel so that I can take it off. But try not, I have to, well, you got to try to if you want to do this, not to damage the one underneath. And always, you can't see this, but whenever I use my Dremel, I'm wearing at least that, if not that as well. Safety first, guys. It is moving. There we go. Alright. Whoops. I did actually damage this a little bit. Okay. These ones, we can get rid of, I hope. And that's the one we need. Now let's figure out working on these. We're trying to get the brass in here, which is have to sort of open the barrels a little bit. So I'm going to go back to this Dremel bit and try it this way. I've never done this before. Let's see how it works. Alright, so the interesting thing is, I don't know how much I actually have to take away, because the whole idea about the brass is to make it a solid and tight air seal. Right now, this sort of fits in here for a little bit. I will end up having to hammer this down, but I don't want to put it in, like I want to paint this first, and then, but I want to do all the dremeling before I start the painting, otherwise I'll scratch the paint job if I fuck up. And I want a brass to be in there till about here, and then I'm going to cut it here. So at the moment, it was until about there. Yeah, we're good, I think. A little bit more, and then only 4 more to go. So I'm going to do that now, off camera. See you soon. Alright, so all of the barrels are dremeled out, and the test tube fits in very snug, which is great. I will give this a paint job before I'm going to put them in. Moving on, this is dry now, so we can actually do the epoxy work as I promised. And so we're going to do this now, the epoxy here. So what I will be doing is I'm going to come up a lot higher than this edge, and from past experience I know that I should stop right there and don't go in here, because it's going to be a bitch, like in there, it's going to be a bitch to sand. So yep, I'm going to close this off there. So I'm going to come up a lot higher than this edge and then sand it down flat afterwards. I'm also going to try and fill this little gap here, same here. I'm going to fill all this, I'm going to fill this up to here, and I'm going to fill the front here to, yeah, so that's sorted. Speaking of epoxy, I always get asked what I use. This is what I use. I use Epoxy Sculpt part A, part B. I have 2 old kitchen knives for either part, so that's part A, part B, because don't use the same knife for getting the stuff out, because otherwise it'll start hardening up. And this is actually fairly old, like I have to use this up, but then again, I've had this for almost a year even, probably longer than that. But the great thing about this is, I've just recently learned this, if you don't use it for a while, you can actually freeze it to store it, which is fantastic. And I'm working in my basement anyways, which is why probably it hold up so long. I'm using gloves for the epoxy work, not because you have to, but because I want to. It's a comfort sort of thing, and I don't get sticky fingers. I have some water in here, which is to smoothen the epoxy in the long run. And also, these are my trusted wax working tools. I have a bunch more of these, but those 3 are the ones I use the most. And you can actually see a little buildup of epoxy on that, which is fun, but you can just scratch this off with a knife. But yeah, those are the ones I use because epoxy sculpt is awesome. You can just sculpt it in any sort of shape and form. So with this one here, I will just give it a rough edge and outline, but I will sand this for form. I don't have to use the tools a lot. I will use them to sort of, you know, poke the epoxy into here and through the bits and bobs. So you will see me do that. So epoxy putty is best used, well, 50-50. So 1 ball. And then get out roughly the same amount. I always screw this up. I just eyeball that because that's fair enough. That's definitely not enough. No, we need a bit more of part A. Yeah, that should do. So, taking a chance to run you through epoxy as well. Now you've got that. You got to mix those two, and when they are as old and as cold as mine are, it's going to take a while. What I do, squish it down, rip it apart, then set it on top of each other. Do that a few times. So you have multiple layers, and then you're off to basically just doing that for 2 minutes. So what you want to do is you want to mix that up thoroughly. You want to give this a good couple of squeezes till it has one unique color, as good as you possibly can. It should become a grey. It will get slightly warm, not really, but if you work in a cold basement like I do, you can actually notice the difference in temperature, and it will get softer the more you do this. And they say you should do this for 2 minutes. I'm mostly too impatient and hardly ever do it, but give it a good mix and it should be really soft and everything. And then you can even let this sit for a minute or 2 to 5 minutes, because that has a curing time. Like, you can work with this stuff for at least an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours before it starts, you know, really curing. And if you ever feel like it's not smooth enough, just get some water and you can smoothen up. This stuff will be you can obviously use water to smoothen it up again, to make it squishy again, until it is fully hardened out. When it's fully hardened out, it is rock solid, as Malphite will say. And yeah, then it is waterproof and everything, and rock hard. So as I said earlier, I'm trying intentionally to be higher than this line so that I can then sand it down. Because with epoxy, it's really easy to sand it down. Alright, so that's number 1 done. And then we'll put it to rest. Preferably this way, so it then doesn't fall down that way. So for now, we're going to put it here. And once we've done the other half, we're going to put them together and sit them down. Alright, so that's done. Yep, looking at these corners, I think I'm good in the sense of like having more on each side. Maybe a little bit on there. to actually then be able to sand it down nice and easy. But also that's right next to a screw post. You don't want to, because that's always a bit of a pain to sand around a screw post. But yeah, I think this is looking good. Alright, back at the workshop. So this is what happened to the cylinder. I painted it the way I normally do. So that is a primer, universal primer, some automotive silver, and then some gold chrome in this case. And yeah, so that's been drying for the last 2 days. And it's looking good and shiny. Now it's time to get the brass ready. So, I don't know if you can tell. I want the brass to go in till about there and then stick out a little bit. So we want them to be about that long, which means I cannot use half of this. Ooh, maybe I can. Alright, let's see if I can get the exact half of this. So the way this tool works is like you put it in here, you tighten it, and then you rotate the tool around it, and then you tighten it some more. You do it again. Tighten it some more. You probably do this a lot faster, but it's a weird piece of brass. And the more pressure you put on it and the less you cut, the more you're going to bend the metal, and you have to take care of that afterwards. As you can see here, it's like bending already. Probably what I should have done earlier. Ah well. And there we go. Right, now what you get here is 2 cut pieces. You have rather sharp edges, and because I was doing gentle, I didn't bend it all that much, but you still have to come in with a Dremel and Dremel these out so that they're not sharp. Ooh, and they're actually almost perfectly the same size. Great. Now I only need 3 more of this, so I'm going to do this off camera. Alright, so you get 5 of those done. They're roughly the same size. I think these 2 are slightly bigger, which is not a problem. But I couldn't be bothered to just cut down 1 millimeter of that. What's going to happen now is I'm going to wear some gloves. Going to take a grinding bit, a stone grinding bit, and just go around the insides here. Because, as I said before, like when you cut it this way, this slightly bends inwards. And as of now, when I take a dart, it is really hard to fit it in here, and you can hear that. So yeah, so we got to make that nice and smooth. Alright, so all 5 of these are done now. They're all good. Now we're going to try and push them in here. This tool to finally push them down. It's a 3D printed random thing that I got of a friend that he used to insert his brass things. I don't know where it came from. We're looking good. This is where we're at. It's kind of where we want it to be. Only scratched the paint a little bit right there, but we can smoothen this over, some dirt and everything, make this barrel look used anyways. But yeah, that's pretty nice. Let's see how we do in terms of dart fit. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. See, that's awesome. Next up, some shell work. So all the epoxy that we put on yesterday, day before yesterday, is dry now. And you can see it doesn't fit at all, because we're meant to have more, so we sand it down. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the belt sander, well, it's not a belt sander, the power sander, and sand it down in the sense that I will first of all try and get this line even, so the 2 shells fit on top of each other and actually close properly. So like sanding this and this thing, and then we're going to shape it. And yeah, off we go. I'm gonna move this a little bit. Again, very dusty. So friends, here we are. I have done all the preparation for painting. I'm getting ready to spray paint all the things. And if you're wondering how I spray paint the stuff, check out another video of a hammer shot build on my channel, which is like a step-by-step of like all the single steps of how I paint. But basically what's going to happen, we're going to base coat this, and then we're going to put down some automotive silver, and then hand paint the black and the red and the white. Just so I can make it a little used and have the silver shine through. Hello everybody, so we're into the paint job of the Christmas giveaway blaster thingy, which I'm gonna dub Santa's Little Helper. And so this is what we've been doing. Top rail is white, that is Vallejo game color, and it's the dead white. Then we have the body in red, which is Citadel base crown red. And then we have the handle in black, which is some plain basic acrylic black. But then to finish it off, because I like to finish better, it's a Citadel base Abalone black. And yeah, so other than that, we got the cylinder already painted gold and got the brass not weathered yet. And over here, we got all the rest bits and bobs painted in gold. So you can see where this is going. Sadly, I have misplaced my whatever holding device on my phone, so I don't know how to record myself at the moment doing more painting. But what will happen next is, on this I'm going to do some highlighting, I'm going to do some dry brushing, I'm going to do some shading and washing of the color. So this will be a used blaster, so it's not like you know, plain whatever. This will be used. So lots of stuff's been happening, as you can see. So got some silver dry brush to make it really metal and used. So what we used for that is some silver, chainmail silver, Vallejo game colors in that case. A really big brush to do some dry brushing with, and then highlighted the edges using an acrylic marker. Yeah, so this is where we're at so far. I've added the name, which is Santa's Little Helper, SLH, the ho 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 for the Christmas, right? And LS-45, as that's the running number. So what is left to do? Some more weathering and some more washing. Paint up the NERF logo in gold. Some weathering to the cylinder, as well as the golden parts. And then, yeah, gotta work on the beard. This is where we're at now. Did all the weathering, everything is done, and that looks super sweet. And that'll be it for the main blaster. And now I'm off to the little bits and bobs. So we're going to take a look at this. We're going to give this some weathering, some dirt and everything, and doing the same with the trigger and the little gold parts here, just to, you know, finish the complete used look. And then we're going to finish this off with a couple of layers of clear coat, and then we put it back together. Enjoy. Alright, all the parts have been clear coated and the clear coat has dried. So as usual, I did 2 layers of gloss and 1 layer of what's it called? Matte clear coat? Yeah. And then, so like it has a nice smooth and still somewhat shiny finish. And I am reassembling the blaster as we speak, and I wanted to give you guys a quick look inside. And starting from over here, I've attached 2 belts because jingly Christmassy belts, and it's going to be annoying as hell, and it's going to be fun. And standard spring and a spacer with the painted hammer and trigger. Now this already, like the guy who owned it before me, already improved this seal by a lot, and also swapped this piece of foam for a rubber ring, which means that this is an insane seal. I will have to grease the back of the cylinder, which I will do in a second, just to make it rotate smoothly. But yeah, it's super cool. And then the front, I can't take this bit out, it's already in there, has been attached to the uncompensated part of the blaster, which looks super nice, and it's actually nice and easy. The uncompensated part, when you print it, comes with 3 parts. This part here, the part over here, which is meant to go in here and close this gap right there, and a little spacer which goes in between here. You can see it down there. And the reassembly of this is actually fairly simple and straightforward. So you take the rod that holds the cylinder and you just put it through here, you put the spacer on, you put the cylinder on, and then you take all the standard NERF stuff and reattach it, just push it in and screw it together, and then that's it. So that's how that was reassembled. Now you don't forget these bits up here, and that's it. So I will now grease up the back of this cylinder so this rotates fine. I put this on and I give it a little firing, and then we'll see how we go. Now we'll almost be done with the Christmas surprise blaster. So the blaster is assembled, jingles and everything, and it works just fine. It's a charm, awesome. So let's go to the last bits and bobs on the outside. I'm going to do the grip with a leather grip similar to the giveaway blaster. So if you haven't seen that video, go check this out. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting out the piece of leather from here, and then I'm going to wrap it around here, and then I'm going to tie it together on the back, or lace it together if you want. So what is this? What I've done for the other blaster as well, it's the same thing I'm using here. I have basically just took some tape and I wrapped it around the entire grip, and then I took a marker and sort of marked the shape of where I want this to sit. So imagine the tape kind of was on there like that, and then I took off the tape, put it on some paper, and then I cut it out in the exact shape. So now I'm gonna trace that on the leather here, and then I'm gonna cut it out of the leather, and then that'll be it. And then all I have to do, I say all, it's quite a lot actually, then when I have cut this out, just puncture a bunch of holes down this side, because that's where it will be connecting on the back here, and then we tie it together. And to tie it together, I'm going to use some waxed polyester thread, which is fantastic. It's used for bracelet making and stuff. It's really robust, like you really can't pull this apart. And this is some leftover black leather that I had laying about. Right, spot on. This is it. This is that piece of leather, and now it's going to be a lot of hammering and poking holes into here. And I'm going to do this off camera, and then we wrap it around this. This is looking good. Punctured a bunch of holes all the way through there and there, and they're going to connect nicely on the back here. So now, don't mind the jingling of the bells. How this will sit is somewhat like this. Then I put it together here, and then it'll be like that. And I technically only need like a little bit of thread, but because I'm looping it and I'm only gonna knot it in the bottom here, so you can see what I'm gonna do. Have this come together right here, just like that. And it's not going to need a lot of pulling in that very spot to stay in space. It's got to be fine like that. And now I'm going to go through and underneath here, come out here, and then so it's going to be a cross. So going from there to there to there to there. So I always just leave one out. I already know that I'm going to need a lot more of this. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So here we go. It's a mess. This is it. I'm going to shift this to where I want it to be, and then I'm going to put it together down here. Alright, so I've knotted it down underneath here, and this will lay over that, and that's actually very comfy. So, problem with this is, if I cut this right here, and you actually have to open the blaster for some reason, you'll have to cut this open and you have to do that entire work again. I don't want that, which is why I'm gonna leave some of this, and I'm gonna wrap it around the bottom here, and then I'm gonna knot it around the bottom here, probably about that much or so, to make sure that if you then need to open this up again, you can just loosen this and then just sort of slide it down over the grip and then undo the screws and then slide it back up. That's the idea behind it. So I'm going to do that now. Alright, so the grip feature is done. This is what it looks like. It is a little bit flexible still, and I have enough spare thread down here. So if you need to open this, just cut this open here, then unravel all this, then slowly open those things, slide it down that way, and you're good to open the blaster, which in theory you shouldn't need to. Fantastic. Next little thing, it wouldn't really be Santa's little helper without a little beard. So I have this, and I want to give this thing a beard, probably thinking something around here, kind of, maybe, but just a little, just about there. So I'm first off trying to cut a shape from this, and then we'll see how we go. So this is the piece of beard that I cut down, and it will be on the blaster something like this-ish. So it'll sit down here, and it'll be, you know, beardy white beard or something. I'm going to work out how I'm going to attach it, because same problem. If I just glue this on here, you can't open that blaster anymore. So I'm looking at, you know, maybe doing some bits and bobs of Velcro underneath. That'll probably be the best idea. Let's see how this goes. Otherwise, I might end up gluing it here and then cut it open in the middle. So, because it's fluffy and everything, it wouldn't matter too much. But yeah, let's see how we go.
Alright everybody, that was it. That was the entire build of this blaster. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. You guys are amazing. I hope you did like it. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions on materials or whatnot, or whatever I did, or why I did things a certain way, just, you know, comment below. If this was helpful for you, I'm really happy. And tell me if you like this style of video, this like going like the full process from the start to the end. It is a lot more work, like really a lot more work than what I usually do, and I also have to remember to, you know, turn on the camera whenever I actually do something, which means I have to sort of, you know, take a camera with me to the workshop every time I go there, which, you know, is a hassle. And yeah, but anyways, I enjoyed making this video, I enjoyed editing this video, although it was a lot more work than usual. But tell me in the comments if you like it or not, tell me what you think about it. And as always, please check out my social media and all the links in the description. It would mean the world to me if you check out my Patreon, if you check out my Instagram, my website and all these things. And Night Hunter, to you, this blaster, you know, is for you. I hope you enjoy it, I hope you like it. So this is also the last NERF mod video of this year, because I doubt I'll pump out another mod in the next 3 days. I have tons of other stuff to do and, you know, 2 gigs to play with the band, and it's gonna be fun. But yeah, the NERF mod videos are going to return next year, because there's a lot of mods in progress at the moment, and you guys already know about some of those. And other than that, yeah, I hope you guys have a great New Year's Eve and get into 2020 and have a great start to that. Love and sunshine, my friends. Bye. It's just way too crazy. I'll see you soon, guys. Take care.